All right, we're going to be looking at these two solid geometry questions over here. They say that they've given you an incomplete left view of a right regular octagonal prism and a front view. All right, so there's your front view, there's your left view. Reason being is that I've got the little man standing on this side, looking across. There must be the front view, there must be the left view, because the left view would always be on the right-hand side. Right, once we've got that, they've given us a starting point A for the drawing. It's right up at the top over there, and I just need to start with a little line. There's the construction line coming out over there. It says that I've got a 16mm story on either side of that, so my recommendation is to get a circle stencil. Let me just find that quickly. Circle stencil. You've got a line. I'm just going to draw a little line coming down over here. Just a construction line coming down over here, and I can then line up my 16mm diameter circle. That one, bang that over there, just draw a little arc that side, little arc that side, and if I use tangents to those little arcs, I will have that 16mm. You can draw those all the way down there and all the way down there. The reason being is that I'm going to have another 16mm side on the other side of this thing. Once I've got that, I'm going to measure off or draw a line at 45 degrees there. I can draw a line going at 45 degrees over there. I then measure off that 16mm. There we go. Take that, bomb that around there, knock that in there. And once I've got that, I can pretty much draw this whole thing out, because I will have all the measurements that I need in order to get the drawing done. There we go. Take a line going over there. Take a line coming down over here. Take a line coming down over there. I take a line going from that corner over there to there. Take a line going from that corner over there to there. Take a line going from that position over there, and take a line going from that position over there. You will see that I have drawn out that octagon very, very quickly. Now, I just want to have a look at this. If I'm standing on this side, I will be cutting off that part of it, which means that the base part will still remain, and I can draw that in dark straight away. So let me draw that in dark. There, go up to the top, there, take this, drop this in here, draw a nice dark line there, a nice dark line there, and then we finish it off with these 45-degree lines going from there to there, from there to there, flick that across, and a line coming down from there to there, and from there to there. Right, next thing is you are going to draw in some construction lines that are going to they're going to go through the center. Now, to get the center, just draw a line going down through that intersection over there, and you can draw a line going down through that intersection over there, and that will give you the center over there. Once you've got that, you can then draw in these lines going from the corners across to corner, from corner to corner, and it should always go through that center. So just construction lines. These are construction lines that I'm drawing. They're not dark lines. Please, they are light lines. I'm drawing them a bit darker in color, just so that you can see them, and that will be perfect for you guys to draw it in for your thing. So draw these lines extremely lightly. Okay, so these red lines that I've got going over here, those are done very, very lightly. Right, once we've got that, I'm going to take some lines coming across from this into the front view. Okay, so I've drawn basically the base of that left view, and construction lines going to the apex. That's coming across into this view over here. I'm going to draw in my XY axis with a 0.3 pencil. Note 0.3 pencil. It's about 10mm away over there. Label it with an X and a Y over here. Note block capital letters, please, no other writing. And then about 10mm away again, you draw in a nice dark line coming down over there, and you're going to measure off that 40mm with a pair of dividers. 40mm coming across over here, that going from there to there. Draw a little line coming up over here, and note I'm taking a line from that center going across to there. I can now draw in these lines going up to that apex of the octagonal pyramid. There we go, there we go, there we go. That's that. There's that. There's that. And there is that part over there. Right, once I've done that, it says I measure across 23 millimeters to that point, and once I've got that, I can then take my 60-degree set square, so 23 millimeters going to that point over there, and I then take my 60-degree set square, note that set square, that angle, and it is then going to go, that's very interesting. Have I measured wrong here? Oh no, sorry, that needs to go up to that point over there. Nearly messed up. Okay, so I'm taking it up to that line over there. I then slide my set square across to that point over there, and I draw a long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash, long dash. Pick up your 0.7 pencil or your 0.5 pencil, and you must thicken this in a whole lot. Okay, thicken that in, and label it as A and A. All right. Okay, now the next thing is to label this thing. I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to go number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Please write these numbers in nice and dark so that everybody can see them. You get marks for them sometimes, so put them in nice and dark. Number 1 and number 2, number 8 and number 3, number 7 and number 4, and number 6 and number 5 over here. That's all going out to a point, and I'm going to label that as 0 over there. There is my point 0 over there. Right. Next thing is to look at this. I have got how many lines going to point 0? I've got 2 lines going to point 0, so I'm going to label that as A and B. I have got 2 lines. Note, I've got 2 numbers, therefore 2 lines going through that point over there, so I'm going to call that C and D. I've got 2 numbers over there, so E and F. Over here, 2 numbers again, G and H. Right, once I've got that, I'm going to come across here, and I'm going to say, all right, that is then cutting through these lines over here. So taking it from A and B, coming across over here, and you'll see that that is cutting 6 and 5. So there we go, those 2 points over there, and I'm just going to label one of them with an A and one of them with a B. Right, I then come over here to C and D. I take that across over here, and you'll see that that is going from 7 and 4. So where it crosses over here, I'm going to label that point number C over there, and I'm going to label that point over there D. All right. I then come over here to where it says E and F, take that across. That's cutting 8 and 3, 8 and 3, 8 and 3. So there we go, and we've got E and F over there. And the last one that we cut across are points number 1 and 2, take that across, and that would be G and H. Okay. Right, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, I need to be able to see that cutting plane. Note the little man over here, he needs to be able to see that cutting plane. So he's going to join these up over here. A and B is a point view. Therefore, I have a line going across from A to B. It then goes from B to D. So I can draw a line going from B to D over here, and I have a line that's going to go from A to C over there. There is A to C over there. It then goes from C to E. C to E, I think you'll be able to see the idea. E to G over there. G to H over there. H to F over there. And F to D over here. Right, once I've got that, next thing that I do straight away is I pick up my set square with my 0.3 pencil. I then do some hatching across this thing. You get marks for this, and it also helps you to see the cutting plane more clearly for the rest of the drawing. So there we go, nice dark hatching going across there. Note the little man is over here. He looks at this cutting plane, but there is still this part at the back that needs to be drawn in. So these lines going from A and B down to 6 and 5, and C and D going to 7 and 4, etc. So I need to draw those lines in as well. So here we go. Let's just draw that in very quickly over here. That and that needs to be drawn in. I've got a line going from there to there and from there to there. I've got a line going from H to E over here and D to 4 over there. And I've got a line going from 1 to G and 5 to B over there. Right, that is the completed left view. That's what the little man would be able to see if that portion of it was cut away. Okay, the next thing they ask you to do is to draw a sectional top view. Right, always what I like to do is to say, well, take a line coming down over here at 45 degrees. I'm just going to do it in a construction line. Construction line coming down at 45 degrees over here. I can then drop these lines coming down from these corners over here into the drawing. There we go. That is the octagonal base part. And I'm going to take that across into the drawing over here. Taking that across from where it intersects there. That's great. And I can then drop these points down over here. And I know that I'm going to be able to see it. If you look at it, the little bird looking over here, the part that I need to be able to see is the cutting plane. So this top part over here, or this apex part, is going to be removed, which means that I can still see all of those numbers in the drawing. So I come over here and I'm able to draw in a nice dark line straight away going from there to there. And I'm going to label those points. Okay, so I come over here and I say I've got 8 and 7 on that line coming across here. That point over there would be 8 and 7. I come over here and this is 1 and 6 coming down there, going across 1 and 6 at that point over there. That links up with those 1 and 6 over there. I've got 5 and 2 coming down over here, 5 and 2 over there, 3 and 4 coming across over here, 3 and 4 over there. Right. The next one that I'm going to take down, it's not 100% necessary, but I think it would be useful for you to see it. The apex, if I bring that down over there, take that across over here, and you'll see that the apex comes down over here, and I can label that point 0. Now, we know that the little bird is not going to be able to see 0 because it's going to be cut away so that he can see that cutting plane. So the most important thing is to take down these numbers over here and put them into this view. I'm going to take down G and H over here, G and H coming down over there, and I'm going to find G and H over here. There is H coming down, there is G coming down. I'm going to take those two across into the view. There it is, and there it is. And I can label that. This one closest to the XY axis is G, so that would be G over there. Okay, and the one that is further away from the XY axis would be H, so that would be H over there. Right, also want you to see this idea. I have an XY axis that is going to come across over here. I forgot to put it in. Please put this in, it's vitally important, X and Y, okay? And you'll see that these distances that we've got over here, if I look at point 8 and 7, note that distance from the XY axis, there's 8, there's 7. If I come over here, there's that same distance over there. If I come over here and I say the distance from the XY axis to 4 and 3, it's furthest away from the XY axis. There's the XY axis, and 4 and 3 will be somewhere over there. I see that I might have not drawn quite as accurately as I should have. Should be somewhere more about over there, but okay. Right, next thing that we're going to do is to find, let's go for the next two letters coming down. I'm going to drop a line coming down over here, okay? And, well, let's use the pair of dividers here. I'm going to go to the XY axis. I'm going to take a measurement from E, okay? Find E, come down over here, plonk it down there, and label it. There is point E. Here is F. Take a measurement from the XY axis across to where F is. Find where F is over here, bring it down to the XY axis, place it down there, and label it as F. Alright, if you want to, you can see that working like this. I'm just going to draw a line coming from F down to the XY axis, draw that across over here, and you should find that it links up perfectly on that little point over there. My pencil a little bit blunt, so my points moved with the pair of dividers are much more accurate. And the same thing would go for E. If I take E down over here, take that across over here, and you'll find that that links up perfectly on that E. Right. Okay, next two would be C and D. Let's go to C and D. Drop a line coming down from C and D. Take a line coming from C going to the 45, D going to the 45. There's C coming across over here. Label it. There is C over there, D coming down to the 45 over here, bring that across, and there is D over there, D over there, and the last two that I need are A and B, so I'm going to take a line coming down from A and B, pop that down over there, and take these two measurements. Let me take it off here, just so you can see this idea. There is A, go to A, bring it down to the new XY axis, pop it over there, and I'm going to label it with an A. And the distance from the XY axis to where B is, there it is, go to B, bring it down to the XY axis, pop it in there, and I've got D over there. And straight away I can then draw in a line that goes from G and H. There we go. I can then go H to F, F to D, D to B, B over there, B to A. Note B and A is a line over there, it's a point view over there, so I've got a line straight going up there. Same thing with the G and H. It's at 90 degrees to the XY axis, it's still 90 degrees to the XY axis over here. I need to go from A to C over there, C to E over here, and E to G over there. Right. If you count over here, I should still have 8 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. And I can then link this up. You'll be able to see a line going from 3 to 4, going to F. And you'll have a line going from 8 and 7, going to this E over here. Right. Once you've got that, I have got a line which goes from 2. Okay, now let's just have a look at what's going on here. What lines can I see from the top over here? Look, it is 1 and 2 that is going to these points G and H. So straight away I look for a 1 and I look for a 2, and I take that up from 2 to H over there, and from 1 to G over there. Right, once I've got that, I then start going, what happens on the other side of this thing? I've got 6 and 5 going to A and B. So 6 going to A, and that would be in hidden detail. So I have a line that's going to be in hidden detail coming down over here, and I have a line going in hidden detail going from D coming down over here to 5. Right, there's those two. And the rest of it is done deal. It's pretty much there. 4 going to D, 4 going to D. I think that I can draw in a bit of hidden detail there as well. 4 going to D. I'm going to have a very small little bit of hidden detail coming down there. And 7 going to C over here. There'll be a very small amount of hidden detail coming down over there as well. Just check that. It might cover over those lines. I'm not 100% sure. If your drawing is a little more accurate, that might actually cover over there and there. All right, but you can see that idea of those pieces of hidden detail on the sides. Right, okay, once we've got that in place, the next thing is I need to show that I have cut this. I take my 45 degree set square, and I hatch that surface as well. Just hatch that quickly. There we go. Over there. And there. There we go. That's hatched. It says that they want a true shape of that cut surface. Right. We know that this is at a 60 degree angle over here. And for now, what we can do is we can take some lines coming straight out from here, from these points over here, coming out from A and B, C and D, E and F, G and H. Now, you'll note that the angle over here is at 90 degrees. So that means that I'm looking at the surface at 90 degrees. If I draw a little XY axis over here, there's an XY axis, label it X and Y. I can now take these measurements off here, and we're going to start with the G over there. Find G, go up here, pop that over there, and label it with a G. H is further away from the XY axis. Find H, go to the new XY axis, and H is further away from the XY axis. Okay, go over here. E is closer to the XY axis. There is E, go to the new XY axis. There is E, nice and close to the XY axis. F is further away from the XY axis. There it is. Let's find F, go over here, pop that over there, and label it F. C, coming over here, there is C. Find C, go up here, knock that in there, label it C. D, further away from the XY axis. There we go. There's D, go to the new XY axis, pop it in there, and D. A, closest to the XY axis. There, A, go up here, closest to the XY axis. A. And B is further away from the XY axis. There's B, go to the B, go to the new XY axis, and it is further away from the XY axis. There we go, there's B. And once I've done that, I then come in over here and I draw in that line and that line. Note, that is 90 degrees to the XY axis, that is 90 degrees to the XY axis, that's still 90 degrees to the XY axis, that's still 90 degrees to the XY axis. You'll see that that is a true length and a true length. Why? Because I've got a point view over there and a point view over here. These lengths over here, however, are not true lengths. The ones that I'm drawing now on this are the true lengths of these lines because I'm able to see them at 90 degrees. And if I'm looking at something at 90 degrees, it is the true length of that line. And there we go, that's that and that. Right, once you've done that, take your set square and you are going to pick up your 0.3 pencil again and you're going to do the hatching coming across here as fast as you can and draw that in nice and dark and thin, and everybody will be very happy. Right, there we go. They also sometimes like you to just label this, so just draw in two little construction lines and say true shape. T, R, U, E, shape. S, H, A, P, E. Right, okay. Right, the next one is to draw out the cylinder over here. It says that it has a diameter of 45, which is 22.5 millimeters. Take that, pop it in there, draw a nice circle. Right. Okay, and what am I looking at? Well, they've told me that I have got a front view and an incomplete top view. Right, so here I go. I'm going to take some lines coming up over here and over there. This view that I've got over here will be my top view. This view that I'm going to be drawing in over here is going to be the front view of this object. There's my XY, X and Y. I can then draw in a line coming across over here. It says that it's got a height of 35 millimeters. Take a line going over here, 35. Take that, knock that in over there, and draw a line coming across over here, 35 millimeters away. There we go. That's from there to there. Draw a line coming down over here. Draw a line coming down over here. And I need to measure 28 millimeters across. 28 millimeters across. And draw in that that line. It says it's at 30 degrees. Take your 0.3 pencil. Long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash, long dash. Take your darker pencil or your thicker pencil, thicken that in, and label it with an A and an A. Right. Now they've told you that they are wanting you to cut through this thing, and to do that is actually quite an interesting little story that they've asked us to do. First of all, it is going to be cut through over there, and it's going to be cut through over here. And so I can take my set square and I can say, well, that will give me a point view. Note, I'm going to call that point A and B. There is point A and B, and there is definitely a line going between those 2 points. And this part over here can then be hatched with my set square. There we go. Hatch that as fast as I can. Right, once we've got that, I'm now going to do a little bit of a story with where it is cutting on the view that you're going to end up with of your left view. They say they want a sectional left view of this thing. Right, so here we go. I'm going to take a line coming across over here from there. Take a line coming across from there. I'm going to take a line coming across from here, a line coming across from there, and I'm going to draw in a 45-degree line going down over here, just a 45-degree construction line over there. Take a line coming up over here, take a line coming up over here, and I'm going to end up with a story over here with this thing being cut. Alright, so over here what I've got, you can see I've broken this up into the 12 parts, okay, so I can come over here and I'm going to say I've got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10, number 11 over there, and number 12 over there. Right, you can then see those points over here coming up. So I have got number 1 over there, I've got number 2 and number 12 over there, I've got a number 11 and number 3 over there, I've got a number 10 and a number 4 over there, and then I've got the A and the B. Right, those points over there, I need to take those across into this view over here to get the cutting plane. So I take that across from number 1 coming across, number 2 and 12 over there, number 3 and 11 over here, number 4 and number 10 over there, and obviously A and B right at the top. I'm going to come in over here and I'm going to mark off, let's do number A and B. So we're going to take that across over here, A and B, take that across, take that across, take that up to the top over there, take that up to the top over there, and I have got point A is close to the XY axis, A, and over here, B over there. Right, next one, I'm going to take number 11. So I'm going to take number 11 across over here, take that up over here, and I'm going to find number 11. There is point number 11 at that point over there. Label it number 11. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take point number 3 across. 3 coming across, 3 going up over here. That's going to link up over there with a number 3 at that point. Let's go to number 12. let's take number 12 across, take number 12 up over here, find number 12 over here, take that across, there is number 12 over there, and I then go to number 2 over here, number 2 coming across, number 2 going up, and I'm going to link that up with number 2 over there. Right, number 1, take number 1 coming across, number 1 going up, number 1 coming across, and there we go. I've got number 1 over there. Right, this is going to go from point A to, I haven't done number 4 and number 10. There is number 4 on the edge over here. All right, there is number 4 over there, and number 10, sorry, that's number 10 over there. Number 10, sorry, that was number 10 coming across and up. There is number 4 coming across and up, and I have got number 4 over there. So I have this dot, dot, dot coming around over here to number 2, coming down over here to number 1, going up to number 12 over there, going up to number 11 over there, going up to number 10, coming back in a little bit to number B over there, and I will have a line going straight the way across from A to B, and I will be able to draw in this curve over here where that cutting plane cut through this thing. You can use French curves, or you can freehand it in as best you can. There we go. Once I've done that, I then take my 45-degree set square, and I'm going to just do the hatching across there with a nice dark 0.3 pencil. Smash that across there as fast as you can. There we go. That's done. Right, I need to take my little man looking across this thing, at this thing. You can see this top part needs to be cut away. That's why I've got the cutting plane, but I need to draw in the base part of it. So I drop a line coming down over here to there, a line coming down from there to there, and a line coming across over here, giving me that cutting plane over there. Right, they also asked for a true shape of that cut surface. You can see that it's done at a 30 degree, so if I take my 60-degree set square and I draw some lines coming off these points over here, coming off there, coming off there, coming off there, coming off there, and coming off over there, I can then draw in a little XY axis over here with my 0.3 pencil over there, label that with an X and a Y over here, and I then take these measurements coming from the cut surface, take them off this view over here. So from there to point A, find point A, go over here, lock it in there, and you can label that point A. You're going to go to point B, that's further away from the XY axis. Go in over here, mark that off over there, and you're going to put that as point B. You can then draw in a line going from point A to point B over here. It is going to go over your writing a little bit, I don't care. Just go over there. Once you've got that, you're then going to take this measurement from point 4, that's closest to the XY axis. Find point 4, go to the new XY axis, and you'll see that point 4 is closest to the XY axis. Label it point 4. Number 10 is furthest away from the XY axis over here. Go over here to the point T10, go over there, mark it off, and you are going to label that with a point 10 up there. Right. Point 3. Point 3, there it is. Go to the XY axis, mark it off, put it in, point 3. 11, further away, go to point 11 over there, go to the new XY axis, label it, and that point over there is going to be point 11 over there. Point 2 over here from the XY axis, there's point 2 over there, take it up to the new XY axis, mark it off, label it, point 2. Okay, point 12, further away from the XY axis, there it is, find point 12, go up to the new XY axis, pop it over there, and label it point 12. Right, point 1, that distance from the XY axis, go to point 1, go to the new XY axis, label it as point 1. Right, I can now draw the little dots going between these points over here, coming around, and you'll be able to then see your curve nicely, and you'll be able to adjust it a little bit. So this little bit of feathering going around over here, and once you've got that in place, you can then go over your marks quite nice and easily, and that gives you a nice curve which is going to come around over here. Going around over there, round, and back into A. Right, once you've done that, take your set square, and you are going to pick up your 0.3 pencil, and you're going to hatch that. Just hatch that nicely with the 0.3 lead as fast as you can. And the last thing that you need to do is to label that view, saying that it is the true shape, and then you are finished this drawing. There we go. Okay, if you look at it, there's my XY axis parallel to that surface over there. If I've got an XY axis parallel and lines going at 90 degrees, I'm going to end up with a true shape of the cut surface. And that is that drawing done.